I would like to shift gears into what I believe is the co-equal important issue when it comes to where the working class needs to break through in this country. We have the living wage, and of course, we have universal health care. Now, we're obviously, I'm sure you are as well, very friendly with Ash Kalra. He's been on our podcast multiple times. We obviously know that Sacramento, despite the fact being a super blue state, is no different than our state, super red Florida, when it comes to working class initiatives. So they decided, no, we're not going to allow you to even vote.
They're just as bought by big insurance and big pharma.
Yeah. So can you talk about that issue and how significant it would be for, let's say, people working in the restaurant industry to have universal health care and what that would mean?
Well, I mean, let's take the pandemic as an example. You know, nobody in our industry had any kind of health insurance. And first, the CDC named restaurants the most dangerous place to be during the pandemic for all adults, because it was the one place in 2020 and 2021 that we were still walking around in an indoor space unmasked. And the poor workers who are exposed to that, you know, all day long. So CDC named it the most dangerous place for adults to be. UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, one of the top medical schools in the country, named restaurants the most dangerous place to work above hospitals. And, you know, here you are with a lot of people in healthcare, rightly so, getting hazard pay and, you know, all of our support and attention. And these workers making the minimum wage or less, you know, and facing the most dangerous place to work with absolutely no access to health insurance. So what happened? People died. I don't think people recognize, we did a survey of thousands of workers across the country in the restaurant industry in 2020, end of 2020, early 2021. 1 in 3 workers said somebody in the restaurant had died of COVID. No access to any kind of health care. You know, a lot of workers, frankly, just go to work sick because they have no choice. Not only do they not have access to health care, there's also, when you live on tips, you can switch shifts, but there's nothing other than getting to work to get those tips. That's how you live. Yeah. You know, so the combination of the ridiculous wage structure and the lack of healthcare meant people died. People got very sick, people died. And so at least some of this labor shortage, which, by the way, we don't call a labor shortage, to your point of reframing things, it's a wage shortage. It's not that there aren't people ready to work. It's that there are people not willing to work for these wages or these conditions any longer. And so you saw this huge staffing crisis or wage shortage, a result of both the fact that people are walking away from this industry and the fact that many, many people died. And we haven't had a full reckoning of the fact that this was such a dangerous industry with so little access to healthcare. And that so many people were exposed, both themselves and their families, the elders that they went home to take care of, the children that they went home to take care of. I mean, if that's not an indication that we have to change access to healthcare in this country, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Well, we just don't take care of our people.
Couldn't have said it better. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. And again, that's why I think where we are right now, and it is unfortunate that I will not hide from the fact that Bernie should be president right now, and we'd be in a much different place regarding the labor movement. However, the labor movement to me is the future. I think you would agree. You probably agree as well.
It's what we can all coalesce. That's where we're not divided.
We had a member, one of the leaders of the Teamsters Union here in Southeast Florida, who was on our podcast recently, and he talks about the fact that in labor, particularly in a union, you have Bernie supporters, you have Trump supporters, and even some people in between, and no one gives a damn what your political affiliation is. They just care that you want to have a dignified life, and that is the bottom line. And if you can talk about the power of the labor movement as it continues to grow, because things are bad right now, and night is always darkest before the dawn, but it seems to me that if we are ever going to get over the proverbial hump of corporate special interests controlling our country, it's going to happen through labor, period.
Absolutely. I would just make one broadening of everything you said, which is that in my experience and my definition, the labor movement is not just unions, because I teach social movements at UC Berkeley. We always talk about the fact that a movement can't be any one institution or set of institutions. A movement, a true social movement, has to be millions of people, many of whom are not affiliated with any kind of institution, engaging in their own way. And that is the beauty of this moment. Millions of people, yes, are organizing and unionizing. Absolutely. Like, oh my God, what's happening at Starbucks and Amazon is incredible. And even beyond that, we're seeing workers just walk off the job in small restaurants whose names we don't know, right? Last year, the women at Hooters organized and pushed back on the uniform for the first time ever.
I was a Hooters waitress in college.
Okay, so you know,
I do. And they have no idea, because when we worked there, we didn't get to tuck our shirts in. We had to tie them up. So it was like,
they tried to implement a new shorter short and the women pushed back and they won. And, you know, there's this much bigger phenomenon that's happening. There's people unionizing. That's part of it. And then there's millions of people just standing up and saying, no, I refuse. I refuse to work for $2. I refuse to get no health insurance. I refuse. And winning. We've tracked, as I said, thousands of restaurants raising wages. That's victory, you know, and these workers, it's kind of like one of the biggest, most historic moments of a collective strike. In some ways, it's people withholding their labor until conditions change collectively. That is the definition in some ways of a strike. And so you're seeing people organize right now a much bigger labor movement that, yes, is in part is unionizing. And even beyond that is workers just rising up and saying, we demand more. And so the potential of this moment is great if we capitalize on it, if we organize people, if we actually institutionalize some of these gains into policy and law. That's, I think, the challenge for all of us. And then if we turn this energy into a political energy that goes beyond just wage and hour and health insurance and takes on climate change and takes on abortion and all these other issues, because you're right. I think labor is the place where we come together. But then what do we do beyond that? We can actually turn that labor power into something even greater.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.